Use it when you want to, store it or rack and stack it when you don't. Because a style like this without boards gives you the flexibility to do, I suppose, what you want to do with the boat. But there's more reasons to look at something like this than that. Outboards, it gives us shallow water access. So we are in 1 meter draft right now. We've got simplicity from a service and maintenance perspective. We also have a high speed cruise. So we're cruising at around about 29 to 30 knots. Easy, comfortable, quiet, and on this hull, super, super smooth. So ladies and gents, welcome to the Regal 43LX and welcome to Tangalooma. The wrecks are just over there, and behind me in the background, this is actually, I didn't know this, I just found out, this is the second largest sand island in the world. And as you might see in the background, there's a Toyota Land Cruiser. I know you Yanks love those things. This is a highway. So this is how people get around in this part of the world. So in this video, we're going to be going right throughout this boat. We're going to do the very deep dive. And for those of you who are interested in purchasing one of these, in the next video, we're doing a sea trial, and we will actually demonstrate how we position this boat in the shallows, because I think many of you, as I said in the title, are going to be considering this as a downsize, and you may also be looking at this as an upsize. The quality on this boat is right on par with some of the best premium inboard boat brands that I've had on the channel. I'm thinking Riviera. Very, very high quality fit and finish. The hull is a really nice thing. So you'll see that in the next video. And I guess, yes, we lose space on the transom when you have outboard, so that is a compromise. But if you're willing to compromise on that, there's so much more that's going on here, which if you are just interested in very luxury day boating with a huge amount of people, because this thing will cater to large groups, then it could be of interest to you. So we'll start out here on the swim platform out the back. First things first, we did position ourselves in the clear water, so hopefully you can see there with the camera. That is actually a little fold out swim platform. It electrically deploys, so you can sit your bum on there and work yourself up onto the boat. There is a telescopic swim ladder on the other side. We'll show you that in a second. Just come in. I've actually got the engines trimmed up because we're in the shallows, so ordinarily you could walk through. But just look at the quality here. So we've got beautiful stainless taking the loom into the motor, so everything's tidy, really, really well done. Out on the transom, this boat actually is designed with a stern anchor locker just on the center line there, which we have deployed today. So you can watch that and see it in the next video. Very clever. We've also got some aft-facing JL audio speakers, multiple zones for the entertainment, and we can pump the tunes out the back. And if you want, I've seen some solutions on board today already for deploying and storing some of your toys, so we'll discuss that when we get there. She's got the drop-down wings, so everything has got a super interesting control system. We'll get there in a second. So you can all do it through multiple keypads, and there are some override manual switches for various functions. But this changes the game. So if you are coming down from a larger boat, I'll just paste this out for perspective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're gonna call that 6 meters of beam with these down, and it's already quite a beamy boat, and it has quite good form stability. We have the gyro and genset on now, but we're already 4 hours into it today, and we've been testing with it on and off. And the form stability, because it is a bigger and relatively heavier boat than, say, some of the sort of mass production boats that you've also seen on my channel from Europe, this thing's got good form stability and a low center of gravity. So it is very comfortable as a platform, and even better with the gyro. So quite a lot going on here, many, many features. I hope I'm gonna remember them all. So jump in the comments if I forget something, because there's heaps going on. But this lounge here, in this position, there's actually a button you can press just there or here, and it will elevate up and turn into like a footrest type vibe, and it's super comfy. But you can also pull the backrest and then have it facing aft, And then the same thing can happen out back here. So if you want to be enjoying this view, let's face it, this is the kind of place you want to come to, that can then go in the opposite direction and do it for you. And this whole unit will electrically slide forward to allow you to trim the motors up at the end of the day. So we've got beautiful Corian, we've got drink holders everywhere. It's leather or leatherette finish everywhere. We've got storage. We've actually got in here, and on same again on the other side, that's actually a contactless phone charger. You see we've got some nice timber trim. There's a bit of that in some key areas, but not in the exposed areas, because I'm on flexi teak here, so that's not going to be a drama for long-term maintenance. And this is actually, obviously when the sides are flipped up, this is actually some deployable stairs for boarding, so that's kind of handy. Got the kid and doggy doors made out of stainless and a glass insert. We have some storage on the center line in the middle here, speakers below, speakers everywhere actually on this boat. Above my head we have the deployable sunshade, and then we've got the manual one up on the bow, which you're going to see in a second. But you don't need this unit here, so this is actually an option. So if you go for, or if your mission is all about ultimate day boating, then this is probably going to be a sensible choice for you. However, if you want to do a little bit more fishing, or you're slightly more fishing focused, and I would suggest this is totally fine because the hull's fantastic and I'd go in the ocean without dramas whatsoever on this hull. You could have a live bait wells and essentially a fishing module with a smaller fold down seat on the center line, so that's an option. We do actually have the outriggers on this boat, and we have some extra rod holders up around here, and there's also some built in to the drop down sides when they're stowed in the up position. On the port side, aft quarter, obviously we've got the drop down cleats, they're everywhere, but we have a 4-step telescopic swim ladder. So that's probably going to be the one that you will use ordinarily for getting in and out of the water, but the optional swim platform is kind of cool and fun. And then I think what we'll do, we'll actually start moving our way forward. Underneath, we'll look at this towards the end of the video. This is a electrically opening lazarette storage, but it's also an equipment space, because we've got the Seakeeper gyro, we've got the generator, we've got the Master Vault charging system, so that's all accessible down here, but it's a great storage location and would be fine for some toys. So this is a little footrest, because you can actually do this. So yes, there's an optional table in there, but just think about how many people, and the owner was just telling me before, he had 11 people on board the other day, right here, hanging out for the day. Everyone was jumping in and out of the water, the decks were wet, and he wasn't worried at all. So that's just something from an operational perspective, it's a full-on fun day boat, which might be a little bit harder to manage if you're coming from an inboard boat, because you're considering, say, carpet, for example, which you're not going to need to worry about on something like this. Deep drawer storage just here. We actually have some kill boxes underneath here and on the port side, but this one has an option to fit it with an ice maker for some of the fishos. So you've got storage in there. That's a proper bin, but I like how they've designed it with this cutout just here, so you can still throw some rubbish in without needing to open the whole thing up. Raw water, freshwater washdowns just here, and then as we make our way forward, it's worth noting that this design, because some of you might have seen the 43, the SAV style, so I've already actually featured the 38 on the channel, it's a center console, all right? So that's fine, but if your focus is more guests and essentially using the boat all year round, or going to windy places and needing to drive home, the center console design might be possible for people to get wet. So if you're really focusing on keeping guests comfortable, you probably want to have full beam like this. We're air conditioned, we've got opening windows, we've got opening sunroof, so you can kind of select the climate as you see fit, but everyone's going to be completely dry and warm or cool, depending on what part of the world you're in, and you can select the climate. Less possible on a center console design, so that's kind of cool. And it's very much in keeping with big boat vibes. So if you were considering buying something, say 40 to 45 feet inboard, but then you decided, you know what, if I do that, I've got to anchor out there where it's rolly. I actually just want to be in here where it's really nice, and I also want to see the clear water so I know if there's any sharks or not, and then I can have a swim. And I know, especially after this summer, lots of people are thinking about that. So just little things. But from an entertainment and eating perspective, this, I think, is probably the place to be. We're all protected under the full roof. So the roof starts there. Nobody's going to get wet here in the rain. It's deep, it's comfortable, super high quality. I like the timber inserts, lots and lots of coats of varnish on this one. Obviously, it can be reduced in size by doing that, and then you just tuck in a stainless steel on either side so people can get up and go to the loo. This is cool. Come in and have a little closer look at this one. Isn't that cute? That's actually movable, so depending on how many people you've got, where they need to be, you can just move it around. We've got more drink holders in there, more phone charging. They're really thinking modern families from the way this has been designed. Charging points everywhere. So many boat companies haven't actually caught on to that yet. So that's good to see. We have storage underneath here. We've got courtesy lights on the floor, and we've got overhead lights. So these two lights here are going to illuminate the table if you're doing some evening eating. And then you've also got some mood lights, and I think that's nice. And also the fact that this timber is not exposed to the sun means you don't have to worry about it for longevity, which is kind of cool. Leather finishes here, more timber finishing up here. We've actually got a glove box just next to the helm. We're going to get to that in a second because I want to show you the port side. But the angles, good corners. I'm a fan of a corner on boats because this is what we do. You know, you can hang out here, you can hang out there, you got the back lounge, you can face, everybody can face aft, you can face forward, you can be social. Really, really nice, top quality. Okay, so this is our lunch station. So we can pop this up. That is actually an Aussie Barbie. Even though I know this has been made in America, they're thinking about us. That's great with the two burners there, that's awesome. And then we've got fridge, storage, light switches. That is your Barbie controls. It's a Kenyan setup. Drink holders aft. And then in here, we've got the deep sink. And above us, via electrically operating actuator, we can see the flat screen TV. So you can, sitting in that location, everyone can sit in and watch TV. This screen here, come and have a look, is how we control all the systems on the boat. This is one option, but everything is done through the touchpad, and you can actually do things like drop down the wings and turn on the lights, open the sunroof, close the doors. A lot of them, they do have manual switches. So for example, the door here and this door here, you can still operate it with these switches, but essentially it's a central control system for the boat, and it just gives you total control from the helm, should you wish, because it's repeated on this screen just here. So I can do absolutely everything from operating the wings just there, sending the seat forward, opening the hatch, operating the anchor, playing with the lights, you name it. And you just select whether you're on hardtop, deck, or cabin. So you select the zone, and then all the features, they're very straightforward. Even these windows, so basically everything is electric, so you can just sit here, enjoy the ride, and control the scenery as you see fit. In saying that, this seat here is fully adjustable. So as many of you know, if you've been watching the channel for quite a while, I've got pretty short legs. I'm what you would consider as a short ass. So I do like some ability to send these seats forward to actually rest my legs here and be comfortable, particularly for a long drive. But if you're a big bloke, the thing goes all the way back too. So I'll actually send that back. And then if you want to flip up the bolsters, you got plenty of space here. And look, it's an American boat, so it has been designed. Actually, come and have a look and see my sight lines forward from where you guys are. This is your view. So this is how high I am. That's how much, from a standing position, how much room I have above my head. And then if I go forward, I've actually got even more because of the sunroof there. I know some of you really tall blokes have to factor that in. But then your sight lines all around, your communication to your guests in the middle and aft is very, very good. And your protection from the wind, if you choose to close these, if it's cold, is great. So come in close and let's actually have a look. I'll drop this down and we'll have a look starting on the starboard side. So this is the forward and back buttons for this seat, and this is the up and down. The whole thing goes up and down together, so all three people go up and down, forward and aft. It's not individual. Very, very nice lever, but the only you do have that is individual. That's the flip up bolsters. So that's how you control that. This gives you the possibility to control all three screens with this touchpad here. However, all multifunctional displays are touch screen. So come in a little bit closer and have a look here. This is your Humphreys. Here is your joystick. We have Skyhook available to us. And now on this boat, we actually can, by pressing this button here, we can combine the bow thruster with the joystick. So if you are doing some maneuvers, it will actually incorporate the electric variable speed bow thruster and give you some assistance. I think that's a good idea because this is a big boat. She does have some weight behind her and there's a lot of leverage required to move the boat from left to right and oscillate it around. So I think that's a smart thing to do. This is a Mercury digital throttles, everything you need. You can do your active trim just here, double engine start on the button just here, quite simple. And then you've got your keys and horn, windscreen wiper override. The AC, we've had it on for the last little while. It's very good. It's quite cool. So perfectly suitable for tropical environments like here in Queensland, Florida, or in Asia. I wouldn't have any dramas. The drink holders for everyone at the dash is fine and actually perfect for throwing a phone down, but even better for charging because that, boom, boom. That's one of those little magnetic chargy thingamajiggies. So that's great and good viz for the captain, but you can put all the spare phones and thingamajiggies down here, no worries. In terms of your electronics, it's how you would set the boat up, but you can do basically everything. So we've got it on sounder just here. We've got an aft camera, multiple plotters. We can run the engine diagnostics, whatever you want. It's a multifunctional display and you can do what you wish. You can mount extra cameras. One of the things I really love, however, is a little fridge. How good's that? So you don't even need to leave the helm. That's electric. Great idea. More boat brands should do that in that location, I think. So just having a look underneath, I can store a boat hook under here, EPIRB and a fire extinguisher. That's pretty much it. No storage underneath this seat because all the electric mechanisms to make it go forward, back, up and down are underneath here. So you'd be resorting to what is quite a deep little storage area here on the starboard side, and you've got the VHF. Then on this side, you could still probably get two people here, but I think it's designed for one person to be super comfy because that's my vibe. Yeah, and you've got two corners. Kind of nice. Oh no, you could still get two people. That's fine. Yeah, that's good. So nice angles, comfortable foam. I've got, I think, some refrigeration under here, but there is storage, deep storage in here. So that might be good for plates, serving plates, that sort of thing. More phone charging, drink holders in there. And you can see how far these windows go back. So you actually still can get your body out because the midships cleat is just here. They haven't put any cleats in positions that you cannot reach. So as long as you remember to open this, actually just have a look. Yeah, so I would have that window open if I want to reach the midships cleat. However, you've got a forward midships, so it's not a super drama. You can still manage your way around that should you need. Pull out storage in here, so that's good for a few bits and pieces. Could be utilised as another bin if you need. that's a subwoofer, but we've been playing music all day today, so we've actually got really great speakers hidden under here. So when you see this texture, same again back aft, great speakers, great quality. You can pump it and it doesn't distort. The sound's actually still quite good. So the sunroof is GRP, which I think for this part of the world is great. I don't necessarily think for a vessel of this style, do you want a glass sunroof? Because we actually probably do want to have protection at times. So that's good. I like the overhang here. So that's giving us some basically shade on the dash forward. So we're going to reduce any possibility for glare in the midday sun. But just behind the dash, we have a little throw spot. So these are the screen protectors. It's just logical to throw them there because they get out of the way. So that's all leather finish, another nice little timber touches. We can close this. We've left it open today because we enjoy the air flowing through, but if you're in a cold place, you can close it and it's actually magnetic, okay? And there's these little locks in here, can you see that? So that stops it from opening. Obviously the door has to be closed, but you lock it in the closed position and that stops the wind from opening it, because if you've seen these door designs before they introduced that, some of them would open. So this electrically operates and it's just on a sliding mechanism and it just marries up with these just here, works fine, used it multiple times today. And I think one of the key differences, if you are in the market for a big day boat, is looking at the European style versus the American style. So come up and have a look. You guys just sit there and look back, because with a big American flared style bow, we can have more beam forward because we're carrying our beam further forward, which allows us to have a ginormous amount of space. Just look at this. I'm 5'7". We could probably get 6 kids, maybe 8, you know, or if my legs are finishing just there, you can have more people here. So you can sort of load it up with kids. It's got a good amount of V forward, provided you're driving in moderate conditions and you're being sensible. I would be comfortable to run at up to 30 knots with people in the bow. I wouldn't do that in the ocean because that's silly. So just use your judgment and be safe because they're your mates. But it's not an issue from an operational perspective. Your sight line is going to be over their heads. And from the design of the hull, provided it's just boat, wind chop and moderate conditions, you're going to be totally fine because she is a moderately heavy boat. So the ocean, when it impacts with the hull, it doesn't throw people around so much like a lighter boat would do. So it's just something you need to think about. This is a design that you can kind of just set on course. You can have wind or waves coming from an opposing direction and she's just going to sort of beat up the waves a little bit. The boat's just going to be fine. You'll be very, very comfortable even at 29 knots. So this is nice. We've got drink holders in here. I did see some phone charging again. Thinking about the modern families, loads of drink holders, JL audio. This boat has been set up with the inserts, so it's essentially a permanent sun lounge, but you can option it with a table up here forward. And I would argue that this is a fun place to sit to. And because we've got these wide gunnels here, that's going to encourage more people just to come and hang out, because with these carbon poles here, we set them up ourselves today, not complicated. It makes life possible in the hot sun. We've got a bit of storage underneath that one, and we do have some fold down armrests there and there. And then operating the anchor, we've tested it. You can check it out in the next video. This door actually stays up, so it's not going to come down on your fingers. But there's a button here, so we can control it from the dash, but we can also control it here. Then we have a washdown. So can you guys see down there? We have a washdown, and the angle of the rollers, because the anchor did come up backwards today, the angle of the rollers are designed in such a way that the anchor will right itself if you give it some time because of the weight, and then it will stow correctly. And tested that, so all good. If you're just pulling up on and securing to a mooring, I would suggest suggest just go straight to one of these cleats because we've got good protection with this stainless steel and plastic strip all the way around. So the mooring line's going to rub on that, and then you get the actual loop around the cleat here, so that's not a drama. And yeah, just a great platform all around. Just checking if I missed anything. One windscreen wiper in front of the skipper, but we've actually struggled to get any waves up on deck. As you can see, it's just boat chop and wind chop today. It's not ocean conditions, so I'm sure you can if you try hard enough. But overall, it's just a very, very nice ride. You know, if you're coming from that big boat and you're used to the smoothness of your, say, 55-foot, 60-foot motorboat, you're actually going to feel something similar in this. Yes, you're going a lot faster, but the way she proceeds through the waves, it's as if you're on a longer boat, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Let's go downstairs and have a look. So come on in. If you have a look at this one here, I just press that button there and that allows me to open. I'll just leave my sunnies. Come on down. 1, 2, 3 stairs. Beautiful sort of teak, or maybe it's not teak actually, but I like the sort of opposition, I don't know if that's the right word, of the leather, timber, different colors there, curvature on the roof, so you're not gonna bang into anything and hurt yourself. But this is a U-shaped lounge at the moment. However, if we open up the backrest on the center line, that will actually slide into its own custom holder, and then the infill with the support just here turns this into a bed. So yes, you know, you could argue it's a bit of a boys' boat for overnighting purposes. However, once we get back, it's perfectly fine for a couple. So if you want to put it or use it in that function, yes, you absolutely can. Some deep storage behind here. As you can see, we've got some coffee machines, bits and pieces, more storage underneath here as well, and that is the base of the support. We've got the amps behind here, we've got a little bit of storage just there, a towel holder, air conditioning up above, which we have on at the moment. This texture is a nice finish. It's quite pleasant. It's modern, not over the top, and I guess you could say elegant. We should have a look in the head. We have a separate shower. Good space, air conditioning, put your soaps and things there. There's the pulley out shower thing. They're the tap knobs. And then you've got the shower screen. It's a proper shower screen. It's got a lock, but we have a big shower head. We're one of those like big ones that give lots of water. And for some reason, it's got lights around it. I don't know why that's necessary, but it's kind of funny. Cool little vanity, storage. These will also open as well, both of them, so you can get behind, quite deep and sufficient for your needs. 2 towel racks just there. Tecma toilet with a holding tank, and then as you can see, we've got AC control, the Garmin panel, microwave storage. This is all open storage here, but come on back. We've got a little throw place here for wallets and phones when not in use. Now these beds, it's perfectly sufficient for a couple or a family if you want to use it in that mode. I suspect the focus is going to be the day boating because it's such an easy boat for that mission. But these singles are fine and a bit wider than you would expect. However, this backrest here is actually the infill for the center line to turn this into one massive bed, and then you could possibly lie that way or this way. Plenty of space. I didn't see any storage underneath these. There's a little bit there, and then you've got over on the top of each shelf on either side, but you've also got reading lights, charging points, USB-C, USB-C and A, and then the 240 plugs on either side. We do have pull down blinds for privacy, but you know, to be honest, for a day boat scenario, if you and your 10 or 12 of your closest mates come out for the day, this is where I'd be racking up everyone's bags. I'd say go downstairs, everyone's going to rock up with a bag. I say take out what you need for the day, put it in your pockets, or stow it up on deck, your mobile phones, your sunscreen, etc., etc. Load the the fridges up with drinks, and then everyone can put their bags, and that's probably how I would organise a boat like this. But obviously you do you. Drain here as well, so you're not going to get any water downstairs. So something you'll notice, to be fair, on all Regals, but that's not the case on mass market production boats. The quality of finishing, when you look in places that you wouldn't ordinarily look, it's done to quite a high standard, much higher than many other brands that I see on the channel. This is a storage space for tables, so they can store in there. I imagine they're heavy because that looks like solid timber, but this is somewhere to put it if you want to get it out of the way. Now, if you are deflating stand-up paddle boards or having some maybe electric wing dingers or foiling wing dingers with the wing, you might be able, or you could definitely store them here. So you could come up with some solutions for those sorts of things. See these? This is actually a holder for those foam rolling, the foam mats that we all float on. So you roll it up, and this actually sits in the rod holder, 2 of them, and you can just stick it on the side of the boat. I think that's quite an ingenious solution. So you can see the Seakeeper is on the center line. The genset is just aft, just in there. We've got the Fireboy system, a lot of our wiring looms, power distribution, master vault here, pumps. That's the Glendenning, that's the US cable, but they can also change it to the Australian. Little bit of access underneath the floor. Everything is accessible. If you just pass me the camera, I'll give you another view from my sight line so you guys can see. Now we're on the forward bulkhead, taking our way around to starboard and then aft to the genset. And in terms of the fuel tank, it's just center mounted in this location. Okay, so it's forward, center mounted, so it's going to be good for weight and balance. Okay guys, so gas means petrol, so petrol in, they're there, and that's diesel. That's going to be for the Jenny, and actually this would also be for a fender deployment if you see that little fitting there. But remember, we've got cleats that we can utilize as well. Actually, I didn't point out before because we've got it dropped down. This is a side opening door. So if you're boarding at the dock, you don't want to hang your legs over or swing your legs over, that's another option. Or potentially if you're dragging a fish on board too. So on this side, we got water in and waste out, just there. Breathers for the tank, and that's the other fender clip just there. So I think I'm going to try and frame this up so you have a nice background, guys, because it's lovely. That's the boat. She is a really high quality piece of kit. How does she drive? We're going to be covering that in the next video, so I'll link to that pretty soon. And if you want to see pricing, or if you want to ask questions, and then I will post a video answer, that is now on my Patreon, so that's going to be on the link on the description below if you're interested. This is at the top end of the scale in terms of the day boat world. So if you are someone who would be looking at something like a Riviera and thinking, do I still want inboards? And you can see value now transitioning to outboards because you have the shallow water access, because you have the convenience, because in many parts of the world you can rack and stack something like this. So if you just want to use it in summer and then stow it away for 6 months of the year and perhaps spend less on maintenance, if it's those sorts of considerations, and if you just want to be able to take the maximum amount of people with the most amount of weather protection at the greatest possible cruising speed in quite a variation of conditions, this is a boat that will do that. Also, if you have people in your party that are prone to seasickness, they are going to be more comfortable on this boat than they will other day boats, because it's a very stable platform. So those are perhaps some points that I'll make. If you are in the market for something like this, consider that and whether that meets your mission. And if you want to see how she drives and how much fuel she burns, we're just going to cover that in the next one. So you just have to click on the link coming up on the screen right now, and I shall see you in that video coming from beautiful Queensland and the second biggest sand island in the world. Isn't that cool? I think it's cool anyway. I don't understand how the trees stay up on sand like that. So if anyone else does, can you please tell me? See you soon.